What's up guys, before I get started with the video, I just have to point out how beautiful Lumia is in this mat. Like, I didn't really notice, I mean of course I knew she was like amazing, but like when I covered her mouth for some reason and her eyes were the only thing you could see, they're just so piercing, and I'm so glad that we play a game that has such amazing art. Even the texture in her hair just looks absolutely amazing. Like, kudos to Force the Will for having this kind of art. I'm so happy to be playing a game that has such beautiful kind of artists, and their effort that they put in every single frame is just so great. Moving on to the actual topic before I just get like extremely sidetracked with all these like little shiny things in the corner of my eyes. They announced the Reflect errata, which is absolutely insane. Reflect has been released for about, I guess, a month now. I think December 9th was when Twilight Wanderer was released, if I'm not mistaken, so it's been a little over a month, and I'm really happy to see that Force the Will is really quick on kind of trying to fix everything out. Of course, we all know that Reflect has been just a little too strong recently. The errata wasn't exactly what I was hoping it would be. I'll get into the exact details in a second. But as we saw with the Abdul format, for anyone that's been playing since the beginning, they released a new kind of enters that you see nowadays, where it says like when this card enters, opposed to just like the enter box text. And that was of course to stop Abdul from being a little too strong. They specifically mentioned that they kind of realized that Abdul was the problem and that people weren't enjoying the match against it because it was a little too powerful. So they kind of still made him stop a lot of really playable cards nowadays, but they don't want him to stop every single card that comes into play. So they released those new cards, and that was after like a 3-month process as well. It was just like one format where we had where he was that strong. And so it's really nice to see that Force the Will is really on top of their game. They're completely waiting to change anything that we're unhappy with as soon as possible. The errata effect will take place February 1st. And what the errata is that this side of Reflect can only use his effects during your own turn. So now you'll only be able to generate one magic counter during your turn, none during your opponent's turn, unless you of course like tab the Orb of Illusion that you can still be using, and then back to your turn you'd be able to use one of the effects again. Why I think this is absolutely necessary has nothing to do with Reflex Filter. It has nothing to do with the restand effect, even though I think that effect is absolutely strong, and provides the turn 1.5 feet scene play or any of those quick cast effects that people found a little broken. I never thought it was an issue because I actually like the interaction with having to stop the priest. I don't think Elvish Priest is that strong in this format even with that effect. I think it kind of can lead to being a dead card. The entire time I was playing 6 Ages, I actually removed Priest and Wind Sprite after a while, so if you are playing 6 Ages and you've seen my deck profile, I definitely maybe try to stray away from that and try something else. I know the rush can get a little too fast, but I put in Fruit of Yggdrasil to kind of let me cantrip. It's a cantrip, so it replaces itself, and it blocks some of the bigger cards. So I just found Elvish Priest to be a little dead, and I liked when my opponent used it because I always had the answer for it most of the time anyway, or when I was playing Dark Alice I would just scorn the Arthur out of their hand or something anyway. So even though that effect was a little broken and it was accounting for all these like repetitive kind of 3-tap effects during your opponent's turn, that's not the reason why I think Reflect was absolutely just a little too much. It's, in my opinion, the +2/+2 that makes him ridiculous. I was playing an Alice deck that I might actually do a profile for soon, but I'm not totally sure. I might not be doing any profiles for a while. I like typically only doing new ones unless it's really exciting, like the Kaguya deck I took to ARG. But so I was playing an Alice deck that was very similar to the red-blue list you see that top with the Reflect list, only it had no spells in it, and the idea of the deck was to just use Alice as my like spell generator, and I would use Alice to, you know, do 1000 damage, which is like a big thunder. I would discard a card from their hand if needed. I would gain some life. So whatever I needed to tutor, if they had Barrier of Shadows, I could play green and destroy an addition. I would use Alice for, and then the rest of my deck was, you know, like Little Red and Granny for my Hasters. It had Ruler's Memoria as my main. Well, I had 4 of those in 4 Hurt score, and I had, you know, Excalibur and Leviathan maxed out so that I could play Ruler's Memoria, and I was able to just completely control the board with Alice because they couldn't pump up enough. But what always made it frustrating is if they started off with like a Ruke Cthulhu and I had gone first, and so my turn 2 play could be a possible Lancelot, it was frustrating that my Lancelot couldn't crash into their Cthulhu and just kill it off, and just, you know, now they have to respond to my Lancelot. I couldn't even attempt to swing into Cthulhu because if they +2/+2 it, my Lancelot's gonna die, which is absolutely unfair. Even on my opponent's turn, if I'm forced to swing to face, they could just Cthulhu into my Lancelot and +2, and then drop a Lancelot themselves and swing me to face, and I just like totally lost my whole board. So I think the +2/+2 was absolutely ridiculous. I think him losing this effect during your opponent's turn also makes Adam Brawley a lot stronger. The flame sprites that they use would never be able to be killed with the 400 red effect on Brawley, because they would just +2/+2 and it would avoid it. You couldn't Thunder Priest unless you waited for them to scry first, which is the draw effect, of course. There was just a lot that the +2/+2 did that was really frustrating, and I'm really happy to see that they changed it. The only thing that I'm a little upset with the errata is on the J Ruler side. In the little post Jordan Blanco posted, he said that, you know, they really want Reflect to be the kind of ruler that you use on your side, and then Reframe to be the type of ruler you use on your opponent's turn to kind of gain advantage. And so it would be kind of like during your turn, you're relying on your ruler. If you want to rely on your opponent's turn and do stuff on their turn, you would J-activate and, you know, rely on Reframe. The only problem I have is this is actually something Matt Cosmore was really hoping they would do as well as myself. And it's, I wish they had made Reframe's effect. You can only use all of these effects during your opponent's turn, and all the Reflex effect would be only during your turn. Why I think that's crucial, and of course people are going to say, well, it's a tap effect, so you know, you can't use it to your opponent's turn anyway. But what people aren't accounting for is Leviathan, the Demon Sword that gives it swiftness and lets you search your effect right away. I think it would have been a lot better for them to take that away from Reflect, because if they can't use Leviathan, that's 2 less Regalia in their deck, because they normally play 2, and 2 less Regalia means a less likely chance for them to be able to play Ruler's Memoria. So I think if they had made this side of the effect just during your opponent's turn, it would have simultaneously hit another problem with Reflect, is that because you do have a more consistent main deck because of how fast you can filter through it, even if you're using it only during your turn, it would be a lot fairer, in my opinion, for them to take away the Ruler's Memoria from the deck. If they want to use the Dead Scythe and Orb of Illusion, that's totally fine. I'm okay with them being able to have to invest a little too much into it, even though they could filter those cards away. So it'd still be playable. If they really wanted to just filter to their Regalias and mulligan really hard and still play Ruler's Memoria, they could. But I feel like the Leviathan, the Demon Sword, just provides them a little too much of a boost, and they don't really lose anything for it. You can't even Hera it because they'll just banish it and you don't get to draw. So of course you can like force them to make it leave the field, but once it's on the field, they could just not play it until they're ready to J-activate and search anyway. So it's not too much of a problem. They still have to get to the Leviathan, and without as much filtering, they're less likely to have it. So it's still totally fair. I'm still extremely happy with this errata. I think it's still going to be an amazing ruler. I've said this multiple times before, and in no way am I like bashing Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that, as I did enjoy the game when I played, but the ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh kind of just sweeps stuff away, like just under the carpet. We saw that with the, I think it was the last ban list where like Shaddolls and Burning Abyss and all these decks just got hit by all these like various ban list hits. They kind of became unplayable and made like room for pendulums, and it's kind of like this like constant power creep. So in no way is Reflect not going to see any play. It's still going to be an absolutely amazing ruler. It might even still top a lot of events. It's just that now when your opponent plays against this and tries to creatively build a deck against Reflect, not specifically just like against the main Reflect deck, but just, you know, enjoy, like let's say my Atlas deck, for example, I can now feel more comfortable playing against it because I don't have to worry about him always having the upper hand. At least I know when to worry about their effects and when to worry about what I'm doing, rather than always having to wait for them to do the +2/+2 for me to do anything, or wait for them to draw for me to Thunder. It's just always been really frustrating that +2/+2 has been there. The restand effect, losing it at on your opponent's end phase, the only thing I can think about what that's kind of a bummer of is the fact that you can't use it with Flame Sprite and Fairies anymore to maybe kill off something during the end phase. I always thought that that was an extremely strong play, and I don't think Fairies are going to be like nerfed by any chance because of this, because in a way I feel like Fairies might actually be seeing more play now. They never really had a problem with consistency anyway, not from my practice anyway, and I think not having to worry so much about the aggro version of the decks, like the aggro meta, might give Fairies a chance as well. So that I'm kind of excited for. I might be testing Fairies sometime soon. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Reflect errata. Just another quick announcement is they announced that they're going to be doing spoilers starting January 19, and I'm super excited. Excuse me, my voice just totally cracked for some reason. kind of still happening. That's weird. Anyway, they're going to be doing January 19 announcements for all the spoilers. I don't know if it's going to be strictly on the new Vingolf set coming out or for the newest set. We did see some art yesterday. I'll try to see if I can post it in the description below. But it was one of Persea holding a dagger while like she's like about to assassinate Valentina coming through a hallway. That of course would be a Twilight Wanderer card. But there is like this blue guy that looks like Naoto from Persona. And this, I'm assuming this is a male character, but he looks like something I could see in Vingolf, because they did say it would look like the Vingolf 2 art is going to be like an anime. So I'm kind of excited to see if they're doing kind of like a half Vingolf spoiler, half Twilight Wanderer spoiler. I'm really hoping that the Vingolf isn't kind of not as good as it was for Vingolf 1, because of course the dual stones and stuff were great, but a lot of the resonators weren't. Hanzo, Mozart, and like Rasputin are like the only ones I see play, maybe with an off chance of the Jayan, the white resonator. So let me know what you guys think. I'll try to post the spoiler pictures in the description below. If you guys do have any questions about the errata or don't understand how it works or when it's going to be taking effect, I did say it was February 1st, but if you don't know how that affects events, just ask me in the in the comment section below. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, because I have a ton more videos coming soon, and I'll definitely catch you guys next time.